All right. All right. What a week. I know I say that every week, every month, but the activity is not letting up at all. Um, I'll just be really plain spoken about this. Every person that I know is in the midst of a major transformation. Either they're in the midst of a major transformation or they are really, really suffering because they are resisting the change. Um, and at certain points, and I know, some of the clients that I've spoken to, we feel like we are um, in a void, right? Where something has ended, but the new thing hasn't quite come in yet. I know in my case, I, my astrological chart is being lit up like crazy. But the amount of creativity that I am experiencing now, I don't believe that I've ever had just this flowing out, right? All of these ideas. So the best thing that I can say about getting through this period of time, um, is understand that this is an evolutionary process that everyone is going through right now. And one of the major themes that has been coming up with the people that I've been talking to this week is uncomfortable emotions. I was speaking to someone earlier, and what I pointed out is that if you've had decades of shoving down your emotions and shoving them down, and disregarding them and really alienating them, when you resist, they're going to sneak through the cracks. And right now, it is absolutely urgent that we recover our true human emotions because emotions can be our North Star. Our body, our feelings, all of these things work together. But in our society, we've been taught that emotions are weak and only for girls, and men aren't supposed to have emotions at all except for anger. So I think this is one of the things that is really important, is to be very non-judgmental about these things. When the emotions come to the surface, don't be in resistance to it, right? Don't think to yourself, oh, I shouldn't feel that way, right? Welcome them. It is perfectly legitimate to feel whatever way you are feeling right now. And it is extremely important, I feel, to take advantage of this period of time to purge whatever is hanging around in your system still. Now, one of the things, as you all know, I have this new program, this mentorship that I started debuting last year, has developed into a program that I'm calling the Work of the Heart. And I am blown away by um, just how potent it is. It's as if all of the things that I was having trouble putting together, right, are really falling into place with this work. I'm super, super excited about it. Because I don't know if you all saw my post that I made the other day, but the chaos on the planet is not going to get any less, right? I think we've accepted that things will never go back to normal. Um, and so we have got to figure out a way to anchor ourselves and to allow ourselves to move through this period of time so that we can express our creativity, those things that we have brought to the world. and not be dominated by central nervous systems freaking out or emotions that should have been processed years ago coming to the surface. It is really a time to release and, most importantly, not to judge anything that is coming up for you. It is legitimate. It's really any feeling that comes to you is okay. None of them should be repressed. And in a way, it's kind of like it's really similar to the inner child work because, and I think it is definitely connected to. I have to think about it more because this is something I just started working on. But I think that if we can welcome back our emotions the way that we welcome back inner child, right, with open arms, with no judgment, with just absolute love, it's going to allow them to pass through as they should. Emotions are not supposed to be hanging around in our body for years and years, right? Getting all, right? Because if we are full of these unexpressed emotions, when people talk about being blocked, right? Creatively, I talk to a lot of business owners, and a lot of times it's that. I was speaking to a woman earlier today, and I could just hear it in her voice. She had all of this stuff, and then I mean, she's just a brilliant woman. And then she's wondering why things aren't working, right? And it isn't that she doesn't have the talent or the experience or the knowledge or the ability to teach. It's just that her entire system is totally blocked up. So allow it to flow, right? The practice of non-judgment, particularly against yourself, is very important. Non-judgment is also really, really, really important when dealing with other people, right? Because even the most unconscious person that you can imagine is living through this as well. They are living through this evolutionary process. And the people who hang around me, we kind of went for the accelerated spiritual path, right? We came here with big work to do. So other people didn't, right? Other people came here to work on it differently, right? But everybody, regardless of whether they are consciously spiritual or not, is going through this evolution, and we mustn't judge them because everyone is going through their own version. There's also, it's really interesting, there is truth telling, um and I saw this in Andrew because, as y'all know, my middle son's been having some serious mental health issues, and my ex was being very unsympathetic. He was like, we have to get him doing all these tasks and keep him on task and make sure that he's doing. And this poor kid, like, just got out of the hospital. And he's all beat up and he's exhausted and he needs to rest. And so Andy, Andy's always been somebody who gave Peter, his dad, trouble, right? From the age of 4, he would put his hands on his hips. He'd say, why? Why? I don't want to do that. So Andy has always been a truth teller, but I feel like it's in the collective as well. And what he did is he called up his dad and read him the riot act, and he said, this is the reason why we were out of touch for 5 years, because you were completely unsympathetic. And he just raked him over the coals, and and uh Peter has a brother who died early. And in retrospect, he had mental health issues. And he said, I don't want what happened to Chris to happen to my brother. And it was a smack in the face. And I was just so impressed, right? Because that kind of bravery to tell the unvarnished truth, these kids really, they're there. And as a result of that, it was really interesting. Peter asked for advice. He asked Andy, the 24-year-old, his youngest, for advice. And Andy said, you need to tell him that you are proud of him and you love him because all you've been doing is criticizing him. And sure enough, it was funny because my ex used to do this kind of stuff all the time. He sent an email after that and he said, and I was praising him and telling him how proud I was. And I was like, oh my God, this guy, he always used to do that to me and then take credit for my ideas, but it doesn't make any difference because it worked. And this truth telling, I believe, is part of the injustices that are going on in the world being exposed. I think that you know, it's like the curtain has been stripped back and we're now seeing what is actually happening in a way that we never have before. So that's the overview. What we're going to do here is, the heart frequency work is very, very simple. But we're going to go ahead and just start out with that. And then we'll move in and see what the guides have to say. I don't think I'm going to be making this one public. It's only going to be going for Wolfe Pack because of the, sensitive information. Oh my God, Louise says that her chart is lit up like Times Square on acid. She has colorful ways to describe things. And Louise has dropped 2 gene sizes in 2 months. It's awesome. That's awesome. I know. And she's saying she feels liberated even amongst the chaos. And I feel absolutely the same way. I was talking to Andy about it. And, all these things were hitting the fan and all this weird stuff was happening. And I looked at him and I said, but I'm okay. I can feel that this whole process is good, is not the right kind of word, but it is evolution and it is not a bad thing. Yeah, so let's just go straight into it. I'm so excited with this stuff. I have like a workbook and I have a day planner and I have a journal and maybe even some oracle cards all planned out. This is like everything that I've been working on has come together. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes. And just take a very deep breath and just settle in. Just settle into where you are, whether it's the surface of a bed or a couch or a chair, and just be present and just feel the presence that you are. And now just begin focusing on your heart. Take some deep breaths into it. Maybe not deep, maybe gentle. Whatever feels right, you're going to feel your heart respond to the attention. And now just start bringing up things that you love, things that make you so happy. Maybe baby animals and baby humans laughing, people that you love, the feeling of being in a forest, looking out at the beach, all of these things, any image that comes to mind that just makes you feel warm and happy. And feel that. Feel that frequency of joy. Feel that frequency of love. That is your heart. That is your heart's frequency. And that is your birthright. And the work, although it seems very simple, is to maintain that frequency. maintain it. Yeah. And get used to how it feels. And this is a frequency that you can live in. And far from being bypassing reality, heart frequency isn't just about the good things, it's also about the beauty and the tragedy of humanity. And so it's a beautiful practice to, whenever you think about it during the day, call up this frequency and it will become your default state. Yeah. All right. So it's a very simple process, and it's something that as you do it more and more, it will become more and more fluent to your system. It will become more and more natural. Yeah. Now I'm just seeing a vision of you standing in this field of infinite possibilities. And normally when I see this field, it's almost like an empty plain. Sometimes I can feel the wind moving through and there's a starry sky. Slightly different today because when I look up into that starry sky, I see very distinctly constellations moving. And I'm reminded of how our ancestors experienced this. Tens of thousands of years ago, observing the movement of the planets, charting their paths, observing their motions. It took thousands of years to develop astrology. It was all from beautiful observation, right? So bringing your attention down and just to look around and see what you see and allow it to be there, whatever it is. You might be seeing nature. You might be on that infinite field. Just allow whatever that is to just be there. Maybe you're standing on the beach. Allow it. And then a guide will be stepping forward to you. And the sense that I get is that this may be a new guide to you. Yeah, this may be, it might not be, but this is the guide that is going to assist you over this period of time. This is the guide that will play that frequency for you if you forget it. And like if you start singing discordant notes, if you can't hear that song anymore, they'll be here to send it back to you. And sometimes you'll feel it, hear it as music. Sometimes you'll just feel the sensation in your body. But this guide, somebody's got an angel. Yeah. And in that case, I see this beautiful little guide, almost like Cupid. And maybe that guide is going to shoot the arrows of that frequency. Now I'm just seeing you being led down a path. It actually feels like a path on the side of a cliff. But for some people, it might be a staircase. And I'm just seeing you descend down. holding the hand of this guide. Mm, mm. And now perhaps you've reached a stopping point. And what I'm observing is that it's very quiet here. And stepping in is a whole retinue of guides. And they will be assisting you today in shedding some of these discordant energies, these energies that are outdated and old. And some of you have them kind of hanging off of you like shreds, and this indicates to me that you've worked on it and now your guides are doing their part in liberating you from these constrictions. Yeah. And as always with these shamanic type um, journeys, when the guides begin to show us this sort of thing, anything that you are experiencing, including falling asleep, is perfect because we think that we need to do it all ourselves. And these guides, I'm just seeing somebody being placed into a hammock. Oh, covered with flowers. That's nice. And these guides are telling you, stop. You don't have to do anything right now. Let us clean you up. Oh, I just got that image of when in the Wizard of Oz, when they come to the Emerald City and they get all cleaned up and everything. That's the kind of thing that your guides are doing. And, some of them are being a little bit silly. I don't know if you remember that movie. I saw it recently. And they're like these big revolving brushes that were shining up the Tin Man. They are, and they're saying that, some of you are a little bit bruised and battered after the circumstances, the situation on the planet. And they're saying, wow, just have so much love and compassion for yourself because you are living through a great shift, a great upheaval. And you must not minimize your experience, right? Do not say, well, these bad things happen, but other people have it worse. No, no hierarchy of trauma, no hierarchy of experience. Whatever you feel is valid. Yeah. And I just challenge you, those of you who think that you can't see or experience your guides, just see what you can feel. Do you feel an energy? Did you see a flash of an image? Whatever it is, just expand on it. Did you hear something? When I quote hear things, it's not like a voice speaking out. It's more like I hear a phrase in a foreign language and I have to translate it. So maybe that's what it is with you. It's very, very important when we're developing our ability to sense these subtle energies, right, which is our God-given right, to not judge any of it because we will be experiencing it in our completely unique way. And it's like they're teaching you a new language That is the language that you and your guides speak together. Nobody else speaks that exact same language. And so that's why I always say I am seeing certain things, but whatever you are seeing is perfect. Yeah. And so while I've been talking, the cleanup has been proceeding. And I am just getting the sense that what this is a time of um, reconciliation, a time of, if we are willing to go there, to really say goodbye forever to many of the habits and constrictions that we had. And the funny thing about that is that even if we have things that we believe have been holding us back, sometimes our systems will resist letting go, right? Because it knows that that means significant change. And so even though consciously, intellectually, you might be, wanting to purge this, there's a part of you that might be holding on, that is afraid of the change. And yeah. And so I am seeing knuckles clinging on to these old, outdated ideas. And so, again, the best way to approach this is non-judgmentally, with great, infinite love. You just place your hand over whatever little part of you might be afraid, apprehensive, and just love on them so much. Love on that part of you so much. Yeah, that she lets go. Nice. Beautiful. You're seeing a spiral of energy. I keep getting these images of like almost rags uh, being attached to people. And so I'm observing a vortex, which is just cleansing and clearing and kind of picking up those shards of fabric, tissue, whatever it is. It's like tissue paper or cotton. Just allow. You don't have to do anything. Just allow. Just let your guides do the work. And allow it to go. Allow it to rise up. Rise up. And then just allow it to release. And if any little hands are trying to grab it, just pat them. I actually just saw babies' hands. That's interesting. Yeah. So some of you are standing a little naked. And it's interesting because there's some shame, which is not something I generally see in the spirit world. But what needs to be addressed is, yeah, is the shame that you may have been subjected to for being yourself. Because what your guides have done is they have stripped back the conditioning and all of the old programming. And so you are standing free of all of that, and it feels weird because you haven't been free of it ever or since you were very, very little. But feel what it feels like to not have these burdens, to not have all of these programs that just make you miserable. Yeah. And then I'm going to ask you to move into that centermost center. And that centermost center is generally right below the heart chakra. And as you stand here naked, I want you to observe that little spark, that divine soul presence. Yeah. This is the part of you that is your self-awareness. It is the conscious soul that came here for a purpose. Can be referred to as your inner mentor, right? This is your higher self, and blow on that energy, breathe into it. And allow this divine soul essence of you to begin to fill your solar plexus, meeting the energy of the heart, and perhaps they'll be dancing around each other, sending it, this divine soul presence, to all of the chakras, down to sacral, down to root, and then all of the rest of them, and just feel this self-awareness mixed with your heart frequency, because between the two of these, this is your power. And realize that this energy, I'm seeing it as green for a lot of people. I guess makes sense with heart. It is all you need. And instead of taking away those parts of you that may have been rejected or laughed at, let's magnify the weirdness. Let's magnify all those things that got you ostracized. Let's magnify that joyful child who danced with wild abandon until somebody told them that it wasn't acceptable. Let's be totally weird. Yeah. Right. And so what they're saying here is that this process of the shedding, and then the process of exaggerating the weirdness. I've never had them say this before. Um, it's not something that, I mean, perhaps it'll happen in an instant, but generally with this kind of work, it takes accustoming your system to it. What does it feel like to stand naked, figuratively, with no no societal constraints covering you up. Feels scary and exciting at the same time. And so you have to accustom your system to it. After a while, you'll realize that you're not really naked. It just feels like that because you've had all this nonsense attached to you for decades. Yeah. And you're not naked at all. In fact, in the course of becoming more and more and more yourself, yeah, you will don the robes of your station. Yeah. But your homework right now is to surrender and to allow this process to play out. You don't need to help it along. You don't need to encourage it. This is the evolutionary wave passing through. And when it passes through, let go, surrender, allow it to do its work. You might have images or emotions and just allow it all. Embrace it all. Love it all. All right. And I'm seeing many of you, it's almost like you're stepping up and a guide is taking your hand and you begin to go back up. Some people have stairs, some people have a little path up to that plane that we began at. And you're being led forward. I am seeing very distinctly, yeah, it is, you are being conducted through this by your divine soul presence, by that energetic form of you, because it is so bright, right? And let her be your leader. You know? And if you can feel her energy, memorize it. Because she will be helping you. Yeah. And you can look at her as being the future you, or you can look at her as being the multi-dimensional you that exists outside of time, outside of linear time. Yeah. And this is your inner mentor. This is your leader. Yeah. And she's the one who you pushed her down and you pushed her aside because maybe some of the stuff she was saying was not socially acceptable. Nice. Okay. And I'm seeing you all emerging back up to the plane of infinite possibilities. And just looking around, and it looks like that's interesting. The constellations moved. It seems like a great deal of linear time passed. It's interesting. And then just kind of look around and see who's with you. Is the is the enlightened one there? She's the, I'm getting these different words for who she is. She's the radiant one. Or you might have some others. Somebody is a lizard. Yeah. Fairies coming to the surface, little fairies. That's cool. And just ask them if anything else needs to be done, and they will do it. Maybe they're just hugging you. Maybe they're giving you a gift. Whatever it is, just don't resist it. If you get a flash and it seems silly, perfect. The sillier it is, in my experience, the more on target. It's the reason why most advanced spiritual leaders are so funny. Right. So just allow them to finish up whatever they were doing. I am getting a number of people are they're hmm, they're placing something in the heart. And oh good Lord. Um I got one of these little ultrasonic vegetable cleaners, and you put it in the water with the veg or whatever it is, and it like gets rid of whatever's on it, dirt, pesticides. And that's what they just said that this is. It's a little ultrasonic cleaning machine to get into the cracks and the crevices of your heart, to clear out the wounding, the disappointment, the grief. Yeah. Allowing it to rise to the surface. Yeah. And they're saying that's going to go ahead and be running for a while, just to allow it to release. And they're saying over this weekend, it's self-care. Take care of yourself, sleep, take baths, do what fills you up, spend time in nature, sit on the ground. Yeah. Because this is a big, 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 big process that's going on. All right. Some of you are kind of being spun around. They're saying, take a turn. Let's see how you look. Just like you've been dressed up by them. And then many of them are placing their hands on you and reminding you that they're with you always, 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 always. And then waving goodbye, sinking back. Until you come back with a little bump to your chair or bed. I'm just kind of feeling this human body once again. If it feels like you need to wiggle a little bit, when we run energies like this, it can really help to move the body just to, release. I would advise if you can do some dancing, put on really loud music this weekend. That's going to help disperse some of this stuff, because what we want to be as clear as possible walking into the next phase. All right. And so here you are in your chair. Just take a couple of deep breaths. Just send gratitude to all the beings who participated in this beautiful ceremony. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.